Well, I tell you what, we have a beautiful book in our hands here at Big Blend Radio. It's published by the Historical League, and it's called Tastes and Treasures 2, a storytelling cookbook of historic Arizona. And it showcases 24 historic Arizona venues from all over the state with their unique histories and special, yummy, delicious recipes. We have three special guests joining Nancy and I here on Big Blend Radio's Champagne Sunday show today to share some of the stories in the book, talk about some of the recipes that they're actually connected to. We have editors and writers Ruth McLeod joining us, Kathy Schumard, and Lisa Schneble-Heidinger. And we also have a segment with Mike Lutz of Historic Lutz Casino in Yuma, Arizona. The book is available on Amazon, so you can get it there, but you can also go right to the website for the Historical League, which I know that helps them raise more funds if you do it that way. I'm pretty certain about that. So check it out. Go to historicalleague.org. They're also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Let's get Ruth on the line here first. Ruth, how are you?
I'm great. So nice to be here. Thank you.
I know this is exciting because this is part 2. I mean, we remember talking about Taste and Treasures part 1. That was, 10 years ago, something like that?
Yes, it was. It was.
Wow.
I do remember that. Yes, and that book was really our first endeavor. It's all written by volunteers, but that book, we ended up printing 20,000 copies, and we only have about 200 copies left. So we realized it's time to have volume 2 out there.
Oh. You know, and I remember that book, too, because you had margarita pie in there.
That's right.
And I'm like...
one of my favorites, yes.
Yeah.
I know. Like, if you're going to talk about Arizona, you got to have that margarita in there. So very exciting. And so now that those 200 need to be preserved in a museum, just going to say, I think you might be able to do that.
Yeah, I know the museum, too.
I know. I want to talk about that, too. I know Nancy and I are very excited to actually come out and see you guys up in the Phoenix, Tempe area. But let's get our next guest on, Lisa Schneble-Heidinger. Lisa wrote the histories of the restaurants and resorts in the book. Lisa, welcome. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and it's so much fun. You two have the best job in the world. What a great thing you get to do.
Yes, going on a tour, our Love Your Parks tour, traveling and documenting every single park that we possibly can. I would not say that is a bad gig at all.
It's a good job, and we made it up ourselves.
I think we need to meet you in Sedona because apparently your great-grandmother is Sedona Schneble, right? And so Sedona was named after her. Ooh,
my great-grandpa had the first post office, and so he wanted Schneble Station, and it was too long, and his brother said, why not name it after Dona? And that's how it happened. And we've wondered if T.C. Schneble had married Sedona's sister Minnie, would the town be named Minnie? But we don't know.
Oh, well, you never know. You never know. Now, you wrote a book about this, the Journal of Sedona Schneble, and so we need to connect on that. I think we need to meet in Sedona and talk about Sedona and read your book in Sedona.
That sounds perfect. I'll be there anytime.
Okay, we'll have a picnic in a park. How does that sound?
Perfect. Yes, there's Red Rock State Park is up there.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes, we need to do that. And but if we have a picnic in the park, then you're bringing the apple pie because I think you know how to make that.
Apple pie dessert, technically, because yes, she was so busy with all the visitors in town staying at her house and doing laundry in the creek and everything else that she figured out it was enough like apple pie, but you didn't have to mess with the rolling out of the crust. So it's a much swifter prepared dessert than apple pie. And she could put ice cream or cream or whatever on it. But yes, I'll bring it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, we'll bring the champagne. How about that?
Even better.
There it is. I want to bring our next guest on, Kathy Schumard. She's going to be talking about pepper steak, and I know she likes to cook this. And, I think we're going to have to go and film her cooking this because I know she's eager to do that. So, Kathy, welcome. How are you?
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I love being here today and talking about my parents. I grew up in a family with 6 brothers and sisters, and when my mom made pepper steak, we thought we were in heaven. And it was so simple. We had fresh tomatoes and bell peppers from the garden. My dad had his first heart attack at 35, so when Mom, of course, bought all the heart-related cookbooks she could find, and she started making pepper steak, we just thought it was fabulous.
Wow.
See, that's thing.
Interesting,
Now
huh?
your family heritage goes. We're talking about family history a lot these days.
I noticed that.
It's Holly over at our friend
Yes.
Holly at Family History Expos. She's always saying that family history and food go hand in hand, and I think your book definitely Tastes and Treasures really goes into this and these recipes we're talking with you today. But going into your family heritage, this is Irish and Hungarian, right?
Ooh.
Yes, my mother was very Irish and Dad Hungarian, and so Mom learned to make dishes that he would love, and that carried on our Irish tradition too.
Mm. And this is interesting because that's what I think one of the coolest things about Arizona is we have this melting pot of cultures, and people moved here. So your family came from Connecticut out to Arizona, right?
Well, just I did.
Oh, she bailed.
If you find a man to marry, he brings you out here.
Go west.
So what was it like going from Connecticut to the desert?
Oh, just fine. Actually, I've lived in lots of parts of the United States, but it definitely was an acquired taste. In the beginning, I would just have a drop or two of taco sauce and thought I was really doing it well. And now I just love all the chili peppers that are in our recipes. We've got 9 different peppers, fresh peppers in the recipes, and 4 dried peppers. And
Wow.
I've learned to roast them, and I'm really a good Southwestern girl now.
Cool.
See, it's all about those peppers, and
Yeah.
that's the interesting thing about the ingredients in this book. Ruth, putting the book together, did you see like a lot of peppers, and but then you've got like apple pie, which Arizona does have apples. I mean, Wilcox, we got them in Sedona, so there's some interesting Southwestern ingredients. But also, in the book you talk about that some of the ingredients actually are from South America too.
Yes, we tried to go with foods that were indigenous to this area, which does include a lot of Mexico and South America. So, the book took us 2 years to write because we got all these recipes and we wanted to test them to make sure that the ingredients were accurate and that we did like the taste of it. So we tested each recipe 3 times. But part of the fun of that was that we all got together and had tasting parties. And so there could be anywhere from 10 to 20 ladies that would bring, we'd all designate what you were to bring, and we'd have a lovely lunch, and then we'd taste everything and decide if it was a yay or an A to go in the book. So
See,
that's
they have
probably
good
why
jobs.
it took us over 2 years to write
They've
that.
got good jobs too.
I know I know, and so you're having these tasting parties, and then Lisa, you're writing the histories of the restaurants and resorts. So that didn't sound like a hard job either. That sounded like a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. I think I was looking in the index to see which one I've been going to the longest, and I think that would be the Arizona Inn, and that's probably been a 40-year relationship. But the Grand Canyon, probably 35 years, and Rock Springs, about 30 years. And then I made some brand new friends on this trip. The Macmillan Bar in beautiful downtown Flagstaff had just opened recently, and so I had never been there because it hadn't existed. And it's such fun. I don't think anything beats the combination of eating and history. And so you're absolutely right.
The Palace Restaurant and Saloon in Prescott, that is a place Nancy and I kind of happened. Well, there's there's a street called Whiskey Row we're going.
Absolutely.
But there's like, isn't there like Wyatt Earp history and all kinds of history in that?
Absolutely. Wyatt and Virgil were both at that bar that you would have bellied up to when you walked in. Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, on one of there's actually there's a bullet hole in the in one part of the bar, and I'm like, oh man, it's so cool.
Yes, absolutely true. And that reminds me, if you get as far as Lake Havasu when you're touring and you see London Bridge, there are also bullet holes in London Bridge from the dog fights over the Thames during World War II. So
I didn't know that. We went on a gondola cruise there years and years ago, and the gondola guy was singing in Japanese and German opera, okay? So this was just a whole, this is not what we expected.
Wow.
And we went under the bridge at a certain time, and it was dusk, and all these bats flew out. It was the coolest experience.
Yes.
Yay.
Awful, man.
I love this. I love this. Who knew we were going to talk about bats and bullets?
Really awfully bullets. It was really awfully cool. You know, you looked up and you're like, what is that cloud? And you're like, wait a minute, it's moving. It's coming.
Yeah, and everyone wear a scarf around your neck when you do that.
Yeah. Just saying.
Just saying. One of the places that you have listed in here is one of our favorite places, is Wisdom's Cafe in Tumacacary outside outside the Tumacacary Mission. The big chicken. Now, we have a cool picture of that chicken with Priscilla, our little pink sock monkey. She's our travel mascot, and that chicken is far bigger than Priscilla. But, man, I love that place.
Yeah.
It's 4 generations of family that have been doing that. And, yeah, it's a sweet place with a great nature, and they've now opened an annex, Wisdom's 2, just north in Tubec, which is also the family and also good.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back.
Ooh.
We need to go back. I remember those cheese crisps.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
With the green chilies. Okay, like this is dangerous. We should have had more food for breakfast.
I got green chilies growing.
I know. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And now, Yuma, Arizona, I know we have a segment with Mike Lutz, and Nancy and I have spent a lot of time in Lutz Casino, and Yuma is our tour headquarters. The Yuma, the historic Coronado Hotel, and the Yuma Landing Bar and Grill, because that's where the first airplane landed in the state of Arizona. But you also went to one of our favorite places, the Garden Cafe. It is so beautiful to sit out there and have brunch, man.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
And it feels, I mean, you almost could be anywhere. It doesn't, it's not a desert feeling as much as an oasis. I think I kept using the word sylvan and having to take more than one mention of sylvan out, because it's fertile and fresh and lovely and tranquil.
And you hear all the birds.
Yes.
It's
and
so nice.
All the birds. Yeah.
It is awesome. This is awesome. Ruth, let's back up a little bit, because now I'm really hungry, and I have to stop talking about food for 1 second so I don't drool over the microphone. I'm just kidding. But the Historical League, tell us a little bit about the league itself, because from what I understand, you have an Arizona Heritage Center, and then that also has it's at Papago Park, right? Am I even saying that correctly?
Yes, Papago Park. Yes, and the league started in 1992 to support this museum. It's an Arizona Historical Society museum, and we are there to support it with volunteers, to help with as docents. We work in the library or sometimes at the front desk, and we also raise money to help with education, exhibits, things that are going on at the museum. And some of the education, which I find fascinating, is National History Day. And we are one of the sponsors of that project. Have you ever heard of that?
No. When is that?
Oh, this is a wonderful, it's for students and teachers. And this started in 1974. It's now worldwide. And it applies to middle school and high schoolers. And they make history come alive and make it not boring at all. They celebrate history. And they do research projects, hands-on presentations. It's all about helping to inform the students and help them, because they're shaping our future. And so you need to know about your past if you're going to help shape the future. So some of these students will go on to become, writers and web designers and artists and filmmakers, because they do a presentation. They do it regionally, and then locally, then regionally, then statewide. And if they're judged, and the upper level ones go to Washington, D.C. Every year they have a competition in Washington, D.C., and Arizona has done extremely well in these competitions. And it's so exciting to help these kids and the teachers realize the importance of history and what it can do, and preserve the history. And it's a very worthwhile project. very worthwhile.
I want to cover this. I want to do something. We have on our tour, our Love Your Parks tour, we have 15 stories. We call them Mission Possible stories that have been assigned by various friends and partners, and one of them is for youth success. And so I think we may have a story here that
sounds
we
like
need that, because it's about what are communities doing for youth and what are youth doing, because a lot of times you just hear, oh, these millennials are all this, they're just all stuck on their phones. And there are a lot of positive things that the youth are doing, and so we want to showcase that. I love that you said celebrate history and have it come to life, because when I was in school, they really made history boring, and it wasn't until Nancy, took me out on the road, took me to all these historic sites when we lived in South Africa. She would take me to all these places. We did a tour there, and it came to life going to museums that especially did living history demonstrations. Suddenly, I understood what people were talking about and understood the hardships people went through and the sacrifices that they went through,
Yes,
it comes
it's
alive.
so important to stress that, and this project really transforms history education, and it's not boring at all for these kids. But
I think that. Go ahead.
Well, it's not like a state-funded program. It's not through the education department, so it's kind of like an extra program, and that's why we are on board to help them with support for the teachers as well, so they can have supplies and means to get the kids involved, because not every school has this program in it. I mean, a teacher has to take this on. So this is a whole new show for you, and I will introduce you to Stacy Trepanier, and she can tell you more about it. But that's one of the things the Historical League does through sales of this cookbook is to support programs like that.
That's excellent, and I think what you're doing with the cookbook too is, really, and you sent me photos of you, not you, but your grandchildren making the Morning Glory muffins that is featured in the book, and this is one of your family recipes. Isn't that a thing too? Is when you have cookbooks, that means that all generations can get together and create, and I think that's something special about what you've done with this book.
Yes, we really wanted to stress, and I loved what you said, family history and recipes go hand in hand, because that is one whole section in this book is about the cherished legacy recipes, and we all have someone special in our lives that made an impact, and we wanted to kind of celebrate that person or that event. And so, the recipe that's in the book, these are the Morning Glory muffins are ones my mom used to make for my daughter for her birthday. And now my daughter's making them for her daughter. So it's, one of those special, heartwarming things. But there's, I think, over 23 cherished legacy recipes in the book that all have such touching stories like that. In fact, Lisa Schnebley Heidinger, she spoke of her great-grandma Sedona, and that recipe is in our book, too. Yeah, so it's very special to a lot of people to do that.
And I love that you include Sandra Day O'Connor, because she's such a, noteworthy woman. As when we look at women's history coming up in March, everybody, which should be every day. We celebrate women every day. I think Sandra Day O'Connor, she's got her jerky in there. I know we've interviewed her brother, has been on quite a few times, Ellen Day, talking about wild horses. We've talked about Lisa B. Lynch, and but so her house has moved. Am I getting this straight? The house is at the Heritage Center?
Yes. The house was moved several years ago, and it was a group got together to raise funds to do that. Her home, it wasn't a huge, beautiful mansion that you see these days. It was the home that she raised her children in when she was in Arizona. It's adobe brick, and they took the bricks apart, brick by brick, and moved it to the museum, and it's on the grounds there. And the intent was that it was to be used for civil what's the
discourse?
Discourse. Thank you. Yeah. And it's not a place that you would tour it. It's a place. She said oftentimes when they were struggling in the legislature, she would invite people home, sit around the kitchen table, have a cup of coffee, have, a little dessert or a dinner, and discuss the issues at hand and work them through. And so this is what the home is dedicated to doing still to this day. So we're very pleased to have it on our property there at the museum.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to see. I like this.
Yes.
I wanted to ask Kathy, I know that you're one of the contributors, writers, editors. What was some of the stories in the book that you kind of went, oh, I didn't know this, something that kind of raised your eyebrows?
Oh, we just had so much fun with the recipes. Do you know we have 146 recipes in the book, and they come from 72 different places between the restaurants, the cherished legacy recipes, and the history makers. So we just had so much fun testing them all and learning about people's stories. Some of the recipes are complex, like red soup-eye pasta with red curry squash. This comes from our 5-star restaurant, Kai. And some of the recipes are really easy, like Ellie's buttermilk pancakes. Some of the recipes are real exotic, like vanilla poached lobster from El Charro, or they're simple and wholesome, like Nancy's fried chicken breast sandwich. So every one of those has a story, and it's just fun to be able to tell them.
Oh, man, how much fun. So did you do a lot of the cooking? It sounds like it.
I did. I'm a retired dietitian, and when I turned 70, I joined the Historical League because I didn't know I'd like being retired, but I do. and I just loved working with our own Historical League chef. Her name is Leslie Christensen. And together, boy, what a team we were. The recipes would come in. She'd make sure the directions were clear and well written. She could immediately detect if a recipe missed the sugar in the cake. Sometimes they weren't perfectly written, but she made them great.
This is fun. Okay, so I have a fun question for all three of you. Okay. So you are going to host a dinner party, which I know you Kathy's cooking, but you're going to host a little dinner party, and I want to know what recipe you want to make, okay? And 3 guests that you can invite who can come out of the time machine, whether they're alive or passed on, someone you want to spend dinner with that you just are fascinated with. Anybody, it could be from the book, it could be from Arizona's history, but what recipe do you want to make, and who?
Well, I'm going to have a taco party, and I'm going to have everything done ahead of time. I'm going to have all the fixings out in 15 bowls, and I'm going to use McMillan's blackened fish taco recipe and Lute's potato tacos. And I'm going to enjoy the company that's there because everything will be done ahead of time. And we can mix around and talk. And people better like Southwest foods when they come to my house to that taco party.
Cool.
That's
Who are you
brilliant.
inviting? Who are the 3 guests?
I don't know. Let's see. My son, Mike, of course, he's in Louisville, Kentucky. He'll want the hottest sauce I could ever find, like a number 9 or 10. I'll keep thinking about that.
Right on. Hey.
Somebody else contribute.
Okay. Well, I was going to say he can bring the bourbon. We're going to be up there this year. We can't wait to get up to bourbon country. It's going to be fascinating to.
That's exactly what he loves.
that trail. There's that trail. Talk about important trails in life. So let's go to you, Lisa. What are you making, and who are you inviting?
Wow, my head was spinning as soon as you said that. And I think for the purposes of all of us women being together, I'm going to go with one of the Arizona Inn recipes. But even though it wasn't the Arizona Inn recipe, the St. Mary's Food Bank, when you mentioned the margarita pie, I don't know if you've noticed the jalapeno key lime cheesecake, and I have not yet made that. And so I'm going to make that. And I'm going to invite 3 women. I'm going to invite Isabel Greenway King, who was Arizona's first congresswoman who built the Arizona Inn.
Yay.
And I'm going to invite Charlotte Hall, who
Yay.
was Arizona's first female office holder. She was our official state historian, and we now have the Charlotte Hall Museum up in Prescott. And I'm going to invite great-grandma Sedona Schneble. And I'm going to try not to say a single word. I'm just going to listen to the 3 of them talk.
This sounds good, man. I know. This is fun. This is fun.
Dang,
all right, I'm coming to hang out with you. I'll lick the pie plate clean. That sounds good to me. Ruth, who are you inviting and what are you cooking?
Oh, wow, there's so many options here, but I am inviting Barbara Barrett. Her recipe for Rocky Mountain bison chili is wonderful, and I'm going to invite her and her recipes in the book. And she is an amazing woman. I've heard her speak at many, many different occasions, and she's done so much. So she's definitely coming. But I'm also going to invite 2 other history makers, which are Mark Wilmer and Frank Snell. And now Mark Wilmer has a recipe his daughters gave us in the book, and we'll have that for dessert. But Mark Wilmer and Frank Snell were key in getting water to Arizona with the Central Arizona Project, and I want to know all the background on that. I've read many fascinating books on that, including Cadillac Desert, which is really very interesting. So I want to hear more about the background. And the history makers, I would have loved to have had other people like Isabel Greenway, like Lisa mentioned, nominated as history maker, but the criteria is that they had to be living when they were nominated. And so the history makers that we have nominated over the years, and there's 65 of them now, we're all there to share in the honor, and which is really, really nice, rather than giving them this honor after they pass away and they never even know about it. So we've had some wonderful people honored as history makers. And our next
Ruth,
gala.
Was it Wink one of the last ones?
Yes, Wink Kriegler.
And her,
right.
her recipe is in the book. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And also Elizabeth Ruffner, she has a recipe in the book.
That's right.
Yeah, so, but our next History Maker Gala, where we will honor 6 new history makers, is coming up February 23rd at the Arizona Biltmore. And we have a whole new group of history makers that are very worthwhile people and have done so much to honor the state. They've made lasting contributions to the community and demonstrated themselves in so many areas. It could be arts or education or sports. Jerry Colangelo is one of our history makers. Healthcare. There's some amazing Navajo code talkers. Rose Mofford. Those have been some of our past history makers. So this year we have Betsy Bayless, Dr. Arthur DeCabuto, who's an educator, Michael J. Fox, who is the director of the Museum of the West in Scottsdale, Alfredo Gutierrez, who's been a politician and done wonderful things his whole life, Merrill Mahaffey, who's a fabulous artist, and Vern Swabach, who is an architect who actually studied under Frank Lloyd Wright. He was the youngest student under Frank Lloyd Wright. So we will celebrate them and their achievements February 23rd. So we're excited about that.
Everything's on the website, historicalleague.org, and again, that you'll find out more about the gala. I see that you have a spring event happening in April too, so there's stuff going on, and of course you can get the cookbook there too, Tastes and Treasures 2, a storytelling cookbook of historic Arizona. And do you prefer people go and purchase the book through the website, or does it matter if it's through Amazon?
It'd be great through the website.
Yeah.
Either way, we're just happy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is important to get people to your website so they know, more about the park and more about what you're doing. I think it's exciting what you're doing, and I love this book, and I'm hungry, and I want to host a dinner party.
I want to invite.
Who would you invite?
I think I would invite the Earp brothers.
Oh, you're never going to get out of that.
No, and I want to go right to that bar in that bullet hole and say, who did that?
Yeah. See.
Oh.
See, that's that's fun.
I know.
I think I would want to sit down with Sandra Day O'Connor, and I would want to because she really kicked some booty, man. She really did a lot, and I think I'd like to talk to her now. And also, I would like to have
the Stockyards restaurant during the centennial year, and she was so delightful and self-effacing, and said, it was an honor to be the first women Supreme Court justice. And then she said, "But I think Ronald Reagan just appointed me because he wanted somebody to talk about horses with." And then she leaned forward and said, "If you can call that postage stamp of his a ranch," because of course the Day Ranch was, 250,000 acres or something in Arizona. But she was so modest and so, just fun.
Oh, now, what about Irma Bombeck? I had no idea she lived in Phoenix. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Who knew?
She was best friends with our former superintendent, Carolyn Warner, and I did Carolyn Warner's biography last year, and there were marvelous photographs of her and Irma, and she remembered once when she and Irma wanted to impress their families with what domestic goddesses they were, but she said, "We had bought the chicken and put the cardboard boxes in the oven, and we ended up talking and laughing so hard they caught on fire and we were found out."
Now, that sounds like something I would do, but there would be wine involved, and then I really would be in trouble. I do want to go back to you, Kathy.
I think there was.
I don't want to forget about the rest of your party guests because they may be sitting at the door waiting.
Oh, you're wonderful. Well, I think I should invite Jim Bruner because he makes the most wonderful homemade ice cream and offers all the toppings.
This is coming from a dietitian, everybody.
Yeah,
she's got tacos and ice cream going. Yeah. I'm good with this.
Good. Well, nuts are pretty wholesome. You can put that on top, and raspberries, and all the fixings would be fun. And maybe I'd invite Ed Bouvet. He started America West Airlines, and is from Arizona, and he'd be fun to have around. He could bring his chicken tamale pie if he wants to our taco party.
See, I'm into the tamale pie. See, she's making everybody bring their food. I'm digging this. I think I want Edward Abbey at the party too.
Fun!
I know, but he'll tell us not to drink all the water. Here we go back to the water again, right? It really is always fascinating about what happens in regards to water in the desert. And I always thought it was fascinating when we went to the Colorado River State Historic Park, which used to be the Quartermaster Depot, and they have that whole part of the museum part showing about how the siphon worked and how they went under. It was Teddy Roosevelt was involved in this, and how the whole moving of the water happened, and how that's how agriculture flourished in Yuma was from this big engineering thing.
In the winter, we get about 80% of our produce, especially the lettuces from the Yuma area. They supply the United States, so they did wonderfully irrigating their property.
Very cool out there. I mean, we found wild lettuce, arugula growing out at Painted Rock Petroglyph site. And I thought there were wildflowers the other day, and it turns out it was wild arugula. Nancy had to remind me that birds do fly from Yuma to Gila Bend. And that's what it is.
Very good.
Well, ladies, it is time for a little Champagne Sundays tradition. It's something we do every Sunday. Toast to all kinds of good things. Okay, so, toasting, you can have champagne in hand, which we usually do on a Sunday, so if I don't say anything correctly, you know what to blame, not me. But this is, it could be tea, it could be water. It's really about taking that moment to be happy about things. We watch the news and this is a lot more fun, so we got to remember there's good stuff in the world. Nancy, what are you toasting to today? You started this tradition.
I know, and I think I want to toast to cactus.
Yeah.
I like them, especially the saguaro. You don't see that very often or anywhere else. So this kind of...
And they're really fat right now.
I know.
From all the rain.
Then every once in a while you see, we call them gumbies, when They are crested saguaros, and they get like that little hairdo on top.
Oh,
it's really cool.
Gumbies.
Yeah, we just call them gumbies.
And there are pokies out in the desert.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just think that, especially when the sun's going down and they're silhouetted against a nice sunset, it's just awesome. I want to toast to that.
You're feeling nostalgic already about going on the tour. But we do have bourbon on the other side.
Well, no, that's a fact.
From margaritas to bourbon. But Lisa, let's go to you. What are you toasting to?
I'm going to toast some wonderful women in Arizona, speaking of history, who are getting together a yellow rose tea on March 24th to honor the 100th anniversary of women having the vote in Arizona. And that's going to kick off an initiative to get women's history in Arizona better distributed.
Oh, I love that. Man, you ladies have all kinds of good stuff going on for history and for women. I'm digging this education. I'm liking, I toast to that. So I didn't know we had 100 years of that.
Wow.
That's amazing.
7 years, was it 7 years, I think, before the rest of the country, or maybe 9. I'd have to look that up. But yes, we were ahead.
Right on, ladies. I toast to every woman in Arizona. So there it is. I'm sneaking in my toast early. That's it. I'm toasting to women across the state, because I think Arizona women are toughies. A lot of women came out, had to come across in wagons, and you never know, get off a bus and they're in their desert and they go, what? And then they adapt and create really good food. So I toast to the women. I didn't mean to sneak mine in now, but what about you, Kathy? What are you toasting to?
Oh, I'm going to toast the wonderful chefs and families and history makers that so generously shared their treasured recipes and traditions. And I'm toasting my husband Tom and family for putting up with me, for sometimes having late meals, and for all the encouragement they've given me along the way.
Oh, cool.
That's
nice.
Sweet. And I'm so glad you married him and came out to this beautiful state that we have.
Me too.
You're one of those ladies who came out and said, hey, check this out. So, Ruth, who are you toasting to?
And I'm actually toasting. Kathy just got out champagne here and beautiful glasses, so we are really into it. Yeah, we are celebrating. I'm actually toasting the Cookbook committee that worked so hard to put this together. They were 40 ladies in all, no, more than that, actually, but a lot of the core was like 40, and it's over 2 years we worked on this book. So, and especially to Kathy herself, she was amazing. Amazing. She'd just gotten involved with the Historical League, and then she gets roped into this project. She had no idea it would be as intensive as it was.
Oh, it sounds really rough.
Get her. She's new.
Lisa's traveling around going to restaurants and resorts and gardens, because you have the Desert Botanical Gardens in there, which we love going to. Yeah, you've got some amazing places in there, and then, Kathy's cooking up a storm, and Ruth, you get to taste everything. I mean, how hard is that? It's there, but we do know how much work goes into it, and it's an absolutely beautiful book.
It is beautiful.
I love the photos. I love that you have people's photos going with their recipes that, showing who made this recipe, why, what is their story, and that you put the stories of the people. I think it's a treasure of a book. So we toast to you, and that means we need a magnum of champagne.
Okay.
How lovely.
I know.
Thank you.
And everyone, again, you can go to historicalleague.org and get Tastes and Treasures too. And also I encourage you to go to Lisa's website, which is ArizonaWriter.com. Man, that's a good website name to have.
Yeah.
Go, Lisa. You got it.
Thank you so much.
And let's keep in touch, ladies. We're going to air our segment with Mike Lutz. I chatted with him on Friday morning real quick, and we talked about all kinds of interesting things, from ghosts to legs coming through the wall. So everybody stay tuned. Here it is. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Lisa and Nancy.
Thanks. You're listening to Big Blend Radio with Elisa Smith, and I've got Mike Lutz sitting here with me. Mike is part of Lutz Casino in Yuma, Arizona. And Lutz Casino, if you're going anywhere between San Diego and Tucson or Phoenix, you got to pull over. I always say that anyway. You got to go explore Yuma. But Lutz Casino is downtown Yuma, and it is definitely one of those iconic places, must-visit places, and a true Yuma treasure. Welcome, Mike. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Hey, this is awesome. You know, how many people still walk into Lutz Casino thinking you're a casino?
We probably get, during the winter, we probably get about 15, 20 probably every day looking for something to gamble with. Because you can see the sign from the freeway where it says Lutz Casino from the freeway.
Yeah.
So they kind of get off and say, oh, we thought there was gambling in here. And end up sticking around for a nice lunch and everything.
Yeah. This is it's such a cool restaurant to go into. Do you ever look around with all the different things you have hanging on the walls, like a foot coming through, and on the ceilings, you've got bicycles, you've got all these things hanging all over in the restaurant. Do you ever look around and see something new that you forgot about?
Yeah, every now and then. A lot of customers say the same thing too. A lot of the local customers come back. I've been coming here for years. I've never seen that hanging off the wall.
Yeah.
And my father was the one that really collected everything, starting back in the early 60s. He just started hanging stuff up.
Are you still adding to it? Do you have room?
No, not really, no. And the fire department's kind of told us quit putting so much stuff on the wall. So
That's funny.
Yeah, we are running out of room, yes.
Hey, but it's such a cool place. It's so much fun. It's so colorful. And sometimes there's piano music. And sometimes you have live music, too.
Yeah, during the summer from May through September, every Friday night, we'll have live local bands come in and play for a couple hours on Friday nights during the summer months.
Oh, that's cool. I want to touch on the history because you've got 2 recipes featured in the Historical League's book, Tastes and Treasures, a storytelling cookbook of Arizona history. One are the potato tacos, which are really a personal favorite of mine, and also Nancy's fried chicken breast sandwich. But they also talk about the history of Lutz Casino, and everyone, I encourage you to go to the website, lutzcasino.com. This is the restaurant. The restaurant's over 100 years old, right?
Yeah, the building was built in 1901.
Wow. And it wasn't. Go ahead.
I can tell you, the building was built in 1901 mostly as a pool hall, and it was only half the size. And my gentleman owned my grandfather about $10,000 back in those days, early 1940s. Could not repay the loan, so my grandfather took the pool hall over. And there's more pool halls, dominoes, bar, and restaurant. Not really a restaurant until my dad came in 1961. And he put a small kitchen in, knocked the other half of the building out, which used to be a clothing store, and it just kind of took off from there.
And then here it is, this iconic place that everyone comes to. If you go to Yuma, you got to have it. You got to have the potato tacos. To me, that's like every time I go to Yuma, and we'll be back soon. We can't wait. I was like, we got to have our potato tacos. I don't remember really seeing that anywhere in my travels other than at Lutz Casino. Is this something your family created, or is this a traditional, taco dish that I'm just unaware of?
It's a traditional street food in Mexico, right across the border in San Luis, Mexico. A lot of the street vendors had potato tacos.
Wow.
So we decided to try it, and we boil about 20 pounds of potatoes every day. And then we mash them and season them, and then we roll them, and they're deep fried. And they're topped with a mayonnaise and a cojita cheese. It's a Spanish Mexican cheese. And it's topped with cabbage and tomato. We sell quite a few.
Oh, I love them. They're delicious. And also Nancy's fried chicken breast sandwich. This is also a favorite of locals and visitors to come in and have.
Yep, that's my Aunt Nancy, who passed away a few years ago in October.
Oh,
she came up with a recipe, and it's just a chicken with some flour and paprika, and it's a chicken sandwich, and it sells pretty well also.
And yeah, I remember Nancy. Wow. And now, I had wine with her. Actually, she didn't have wine, but I did. We had a good time. We had a good time sitting in there, and I'm sorry to hear that. So Lutz Casino, over this history. I remember hearing, because you also in the family have a wedding chapel. So this is part of Yuma's history as being the wedding capital before Vegas, right? And that's part of your family history.
Yeah, on that part, my grandfather used to be the Justice of the Peace in the 40s. So back in the day, if you wanted to get married, a lot of the California stars came over, because in California you had to wait a couple of days to get married. Where here you come to Arizona and be married right away. So my grandfather married a lot of stars. And to this day, we still have the wedding chapel. My brother runs the wedding chapel. We probably do 25 to 30 couples a month now.
Wow. Do you get any of the military families coming in before people get
military? Yeah, before they get deployed. Yes, yeah, we do military. Yeah, we do a lot from Imperial County come over and get married also still.
Oh wow! So it keeps on trucking in Yuma, man. It's still the weddings, right. Wedding Central. Okay, the last thing I have to bring up. I remember hearing that you did have there was whiskey going on somewhere. Was it on the river or something? Something in your family? Someone learned how to make moonshine?
My great grandfather, my dad, has told me the story. His name was Schott, SHOTT, Schott Luke. And he used to do a little bit of bootlegging, I believe.
Down on the Colorado River.
Yeah. And also on another quick note, the theater next to us, which is a Lyric Theater, it's going to be featured on the Travel Channel next March 9th.
Oh, everybody check that out.
Yeah, on the Ghost Adventures.
So cool.
That's kind of a big deal for us.
Do you think
March 9th is...
Go ahead.
So it's going to be featured March 9th on the Travel Channel. It is
the Travel Channel.
It's haunted. That's what I mean. I close up a lot at nights, and I don't know, hear things every now and then, especially next door in the theater.
Wow, that's always fun, right? It's like the potato tacos talking to me. Well, isn't the whole downtown district have? I remember getting emails over the years, people looking for ghost hunters and everything to go, and they do like tours and everything downtown now with the ghost
matter of fact, the Historical Society does a tour. They do a ghost tour. They also do a night. They do a ghost pub crawl too. Is what they do, and that's through the Historical Society. Yeah,
I belong on that, and I will have fun with that. But thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Again, go to lutescasino.com, and we're also going to be featuring the potato tacos recipe up on blendradioandtv.com, so stay tuned for that. And again, March 9th, to watch for Yuma, the Lyric Theater, and some ghostly things happening on the Travel Channel. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Again, the book is called Taste and Treasures 2, a storytelling cookbook of historic Arizona, and you can go to historicalleague.org to learn more. We want to thank the historic Coronado Motor Hotel in Yuma, Arizona, our Love Your Parks Tour headquarters, for sponsoring this segment today. And the historic Coronado Motor Hotel is very historic. It's been over 76 years of family history there, for sure. They have their own museum on site. Plus, on site, they have the Yuma Landing Bar and Grill, which is the site where the very first airplane landed in the state of Arizona. So check them out at coronadomotorhotel.com. It's one of those places you definitely want to stay. And we're going to close this segment off. We've got more things happening here on today's show on Big Blend Radio, but we're going to close this segment off with a song called Adobe Cafe. Talk about Adobe. We have to. That's what happens out here in the desert. That's what we build with. And this is a song from Wally Lauder, who is based in Tucson, Arizona. He's got new music coming out soon, so keep up with him at wallylauder.com. Here it is, Adobe Cafe.
In an Adobe Cafe on the dusty side of town is a dark-haired girl with eyes of brown. He watches the way she moves around, soft as a butterfly, barely touching the ground. Just a cup of coffee, just to stop along the road. He's falling in love with someone he doesn't even know. He wonders about her as her soft hips sway, as she runs her hand through her long dark hair in a casual have a man? Does she have kids? Where does she go when she goes home? He wonders where she lives. Just a cup of coffee, just a stop along the road. He's falling in love with someone he doesn't even know. Cafes, towns, and roads, so the story goes. Another story unfolds. Driving away, he's got miles to go, but she lingers in his thoughts, driving down that road. Maybe someday, when he's back in town, she'll be there with her long dark hair and eyes of brown. Just a cup of coffee, just a stop along the road. He's falling in love with someone he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. Doesn't even know.